Now, the National Council of Provinces, that's the NCOP, is this week holding a two-day workshop on cooperative governance and intergovernmental relations under the theme Taking a Lead in Advancing Cooperative Governance and Intergovernmental Relations. The workshop, which got underway yesterday, is being attended by permanent delegates to the NCOP, premiers, MECs, as well as members of the Provincial Legislatures. So some of the topics to be focused on include principles of accounting, meaning and application underpinning cooperative governance, as well as the policy and legal frameworks in the application of cooperative governance and intergovernmental relations in the country. So to talk to us more about this, we're joined by the NCOP chairperson, Mr. Amos Masondo. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Morning, and thank you very much to you and your viewers.
Mr. Masondo, of course, looking at the theme, looking at the principles that underpin these topics, these are, of course, crucial in terms of delivering services to the people of South Africa. But let's just start with a brief background to the workshop and what was actually done yesterday.
Yesterday, what we sought to do was basically to remind ourselves of the key elements of some of the work that preoccupies what we do in the NCOP. So the purpose of the workshop was put up. It has been put up as basically to do the following things: to help us advance cooperative governance and intergovernmental relations, to help us understand the basic precepts of cooperative governance and intergovernmental relations for ensuring effective and efficient service delivery to communities, to help us understand and grasp policy framework and legal jurisprudence or theory or philosophy of law regarding cooperative governance and intergovernmental relations, and to help us address the lack of trust among stakeholders and mobilize resources outside of government to ensure meaningful development. And lastly, to help us integrate provincial experiences regarding cooperative governance and intergovernmental relations in advancing service delivery and improving the quality of life of people. So what we did yesterday was to get the presentation from a variety of speakers, including the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Dr. Dlamini Zuma, and various academics, including Dr. Andrew Siddle from UCT, Dr. T. Mohale, Professor Chris Tapscott from UWC, and then we also had Ms. Avery Williamson, who's the DG of COPTA, and Mr. Thabo Manyoni, who's the chair of the Municipal Demarcation Board, as well as Zelna Jansen, who's a community activist. So we got these speakers to speak on the various subjects, and then allowed members of the NCOP and other participants to engage the issues that were being raised. All of this was, of course, being done in order to ensure that we deepen our own understanding and ensure that going into the future, there's dedication and better commitment to achieve the objectives that we have set for ourselves.
Mr. Masondo, what are some of the key impediments, would you say, to effective cooperative governance and that is hampering some of the departments from working together most effectively and efficiently?
Well, the challenges facing local government, challenges facing provincial government, and challenges even that face national government as implementation takes place on the ground are many and varied. For instance, issues that emerged yesterday include, amongst others, the tendency to work in silos. That is failure to work collaboratively and collectively together to advance the effort to improve the quality of life of people. There are also been political problems, which include administrative political interface that is inappropriate, and this talks largely to the question of ethics. Sometimes there have also been a failure to protect the whistleblowers. There have been a failure to build sustainable local economies. And at times there have also been problems around the failure to maintain existing infrastructure. So the issues are many and varied. And intergovernmental relations and cooperative governance really speak to the need to work together so that in an ongoing way, the effort that is being put comes into fruition.
Mr. Masondo, you touched in your first answer on the issue of a lack of trust among stakeholders. And when you mention as one of the key impediments to effective cooperation, the breakdown, or rather the inability to break down that silo mentality, that perhaps would feed into that lack of trust, because one would ask, how long is it going to take to address this particular matter? Because working in silos has been identified as a detriment to delivery for the longest time. I just quickly, as you were talking, just typed it into Google very quickly, and again, tons and tons of articles about this. So at what point do we move forward? At what point do we actually address this in order to make progress?
My own sense is that much more can be achieved if there's commitment and understanding that our strength lie in seeking always to work together. And in seeking always to ensure that these problems are not undermined by tendencies that are negative and tendencies that can easily creep in if we're not vigilant. So in an ongoing way, we need first and foremost to have trust, and trust is the basis on which greater things can be achieved. Because if we trust one another and there are no motives that are allowed to creep in that are negative, then the ground is set for an honest engagement and a sustainable search towards ensuring that we advance in the work that we do.
And just a final question, the focus of today's program, Mr. Masondo?
Today's program will look at the following. We will start off with looking at the topic intergovernmental relations and fiscal framework, coherence and meaning to the financial oversight role of Parliament in outcomes and public resource management. In this regard, we'll have the Auditor General, Ms. Chi Maluleke, and Ms. Wendy Fano, Chief Director, Intergovernmental Relations Unit, National Treasury. We'll then move on to the topic codification of cooperative governance and intergovernmental relations in the delivery of services of communities, lessons and advances by Professor Bertus de Villiers, Curtin Law School, University of Johannesburg, and Dr. Tina Nzo of Public Affairs Research Institute. After lunch, we'll then have the topic delineating the role of the NCOP in cooperative governance and intergovernmental relations, lessons and future applications, led by Professor Nico Ostatler from the University of the Western Cape, and then the Secretary of the NCOP, Advocate M.E. Pindela. That will be followed by the topic advancing the role of NCOP to address structural tensions for effective cooperative governance and intergovernmental relations in Southern Africa. And then discussions, and we'll end up, just to be brief, we'll end up with the premiers of the various provinces also making their comments and stating and articulating their views on this important topic. At the end of it all, we hope that all of this will be properly crafted and be made available to all participants, and that this may go some way in ensuring that our work is taken to another level.
Well, that's where we have to leave it. But thank you so much for your time this morning. And that was the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Mr. Amos Masondo, talking to us about a very important work being done in terms of a two-day workshop that's taking place with regard to cooperative governance and intergovernmental cooperation. So we'll leave that there for the time being.